Shout out to my nephews, Rowan, Walker, and Wells, who are really into frogs and have threatened to put a frog in their mom's coffee. This book today, called Frogs, is written by the editors of Time for Kids with Kathryn Hoffman Satterfield. Our table of contents shows this is going to be a little bit longer book with several sections or chapters. So let's begin. Chapter 1, One Hoppy Family. 3 red-eyed tree frogs, one with an inflated vocal sac. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Can you hear the frog? Every kind of frog has its own call. That is how frogs find each other. This is a bullfrog in Virginia. Salamanders are amphibians too. Frogs are amphibians. Amphibians are animals with backbones that live both on land and in the water. Amphibians are cold-blooded. Their body temperature changes when the temperature around them changes. Take a close look at a frog. Frogs and toads look a lot alike. Sometimes even experts cannot tell them apart. All toads are frogs. Most toads live on land. They usually have dry, warty skin and short back legs. There is little or no webbing between their toes. Remember, the webbing helps them swim. Extra skin between the toes helps frogs swim better. Webbed feet. Skin. Frogs have smooth, wet skin. Their hind legs are very long black back legs so that they can leap. Most frogs and toads have bulging eyes. They can see in front, to the sides, and partly behind them. This is called the tympanic membrane. Frogs and toads have eardrums on the surface of their skin. They have very good hearing. So that's where they hear you. This is a desert spadefoot frog. And this one is called an African clawed frog. It does look like it has claws, doesn't it? Frogs live in many habitats. Most frogs like to be wet. They live near ponds, swamps, and lakes. But some frogs live in the desert. They go underground to stay cool and wet. Chapter 2, A Frog's Life. All frogs begin life as an egg. Some frogs lay as many as 10,000 eggs. Most frogs do not protect their eggs, but the male mountain coqui frog keeps a close watch. This is the male mountain coqui frog, and he has his eggs. They have kind of some jelly around them to keep them safe. A tadpole hatches from a frog egg. It has a long tail and gills like a fish. The tadpole swims, eats, and grows. It goes through a change called a metamorphosis. Gradually, the gills disappear and lungs form. So we've had an egg, and now we have the tadpole, and they're in the water. They're swimming like fish, kind of. Red-eyed leaf frog tadpoles in Costa Rica. They kind of look like leaves, don't they? I guess that's probably why they're named that. So, but what's going to happen is it's going to start getting the gills, which is what you have on a fish, where the water goes through and they can breathe through that, they start to disappear and you start to get lungs, like you have in your chest, which is what can hold the air and how you breathe outside of the water. This right here is a male golden poison frog, and it actually has tadpoles on its back. This is a European frog, froglet. It looks like it's almost a frog, but it's still a little bit of a tadpole. Let's see what it says. The tadpole begins to look like a frog. Its legs form and its tail shrinks. At about 12 weeks old, the tadpole becomes a froglet. Soon its tail will disappear. So we had the eggs, we had the tadpole, and now we have a froglet. It's going through a change, going from being able to live in the water to needing to breathe on land. These are called strawberry poison dart frogs. They're pretty cool. The planet is hopping with frogs. Frogs can be green, gray, yellow, orange, red, or blue. There are nearly 5,000 kinds of frogs. Scientists keep finding new species. How big? The Cuban tree toad is one of the world's smallest frogs. It only grows to ½ an inch long. The Goliath frog is the world's largest frog. It can grow up to 15 inches long. That's as big as a computer keyboard. That is very big. Chapter 3, the hungry frog. This is White's tree frog. Some frogs eat spiders, snails, slugs, earthworms, and insects. They catch bugs with their long, sticky tongues. Frogs eat insects that can destroy farmers' crops. Big frogs eat big meals. They eat mice, small reptiles, and even other frogs. Frogs use their eyeballs to swallow food. Did not know that. By blinking, a frog pushes food down its throat. This is a South African bullfrog eating a walking stick. Some frogs have favorite foods. The Madagascar Mantella frog mainly eats ants. The ants contain poison. This makes the frog skin poisonous. These are Madagascar Mantella frogs. Are frogs in trouble? Chapter 4. These are blue poison dart frogs. Many frogs have poisonous skin. The most poisonous frogs are brightly colored. This warns animals that these frogs are not safe to eat. Some frogs use camouflage to protect themselves. They blend into the trees, plants, or dirt where they live. The Vietnamese mossy frog looks like a little clump of moss. Do you see it? It's very camouflaged in there. That's pretty cool. Spotlight. Jim Henson was a puppeteer and entertainer. He was born in Greenville, Mississippi on September 24th, 1936. Henson created the Muppets and was the voice of Kermit the Frog. Kermit did not start out as a frog. He did not have webbed feet, but like all frogs, he went through a metamorphosis. By the time Kermit appeared on the television show Sesame Street, he had turned into a frog. Frog habitats are being destroyed. When humans cut down trees, some frogs have no place to live. Pollution also hurts frogs. Their thin skin can absorb harmful chemicals. Many kinds of frogs are in danger of extinction. Scientists are working hard to protect them. This is an endangered tomato frog from Madagascar. And this is a Wallace's flying frog. Now this says, did you know? Flying frogs do not really fly. The webbing between their toes, we're talking about right here, webbing between their toes helps them glide from tree branch to branch. A golden poison frog contains enough poison to kill 20,000 mice. Some frogs can leap more than 20 times farther than the length of their body. The Senegal running frog does not jump. It runs through tall grassy areas. And our last page shows our vocabulary again, the words to know. Amphibian, any cold-blooded animal that can live both on land and in water. A habitat is where an animal lives. Camouflage, to blend in with the surroundings, kind of be like hide and seek. Metamorphosis is a change from an immature stage to an adult stage. A froglet is a young small frog. And a tadpole is a young frog that lives in the water, has a long tail and gills. And down here, a fun fact, the wood frog can live in the extreme cold. It can survive for weeks with more than half its body frozen. Isn't that interesting?